to Thoughts Can Change Your Life by Reverend Lee, with Reverend Lee. So I asked a question today. What does Mother's Day mean to you? And I know everyone out there has a different meaning for it. So we start with the question, what is a mother? That's a really good question because there are all different types of mothers. There's the person who gave birth to you. There's the person who was motherly to you. There is the person who abandoned you. There are all these qualities, and everyone has a different relationship with their mother. But one of the things that I've come to understand is that my mother gave me birth. And she did the best she could, giving me the ideas she thought would benefit me. And that was the end of her job. Then it was my job. My job. Once I learned that I have the ability to think and that my thoughts create, it was my job to determine how I lived my life. It was my job to get over my mommy and daddy issues. In this case, my mommy issues. It was my job to realize that my mother had a separate path in life than I did. We were not the same. We were different. My relationship with my mother was very different than my brother's relationship with my mother. Because in my mind, I rewrote my childhood. Because the childhood I had by what society says a mother should be, how loving, how caring, how nurturing, wasn't the case. My mother didn't say, I love you. My mother, I thought, loved me when she yelled at me or hit me with a wooden spoon like a good little Italian woman. That wasn't love, but it was all my mother knew. She didn't know any better. That's how she was raised and worse. But we put too much emphasis on blaming our mom for things that may be wrong with us or giving our mom too much credit. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're listening to this, you're a grown adult who knows that they have a mind and they can use that mind to create their life experience. I may be pressing some buttons today, and guess what? It's my intention to do so. Because there's a lot of people on Mother's Day, it's not a good day. Some people, it's a very good day. I think back and I can see my mother's face. I have a couple cousins who say that when I smile, I look just like my mother. I'm honored. I love my mother. And the relationship I had with her when I was young was not a good one. But the relationship we had when she died was an exquisite one because I chose to create it as such. I created the image and likeness of my mother. And I didn't put unnecessary, how do I say this? Pressure on her to live up to a set way of looking at things. I didn't do that. I realized she was her own person. And that was her right. And there was a reason she was her own person because she got to live the life she needed to live to get the experience she desired to have. What was your experience with your mom? On a 10 scale, 0 being non-existent, 10 being great. What would you label yours? And let me just say this, like, for example, with my son, Stephen, my sister, Susan, my granddaughter, Claire, all 3 of them were adopted. So they have a biological mother, but then they also have a mother who raised them, who nurtured them. Wendy had a 9. Wendy, you're a lucky one because you had a relationship that most people wish they would have had with their mom. A lot of people never had that. Is there a way that's right or wrong? I don't think so. I just think there are different ways. It's like, is there a perfect relationship for you? Well, there is, and you get to determine what it is. And you should never, ever compare your relationship to anyone else because anyone else's relationship is their relationship. It's going to be different than yours. Jean and I have a very, very unique relationship that thoroughly works for the two of us. There's no two people on the planet that have a relationship like us. When I do teach, though, I teach people the keys that we've got so that you can form your own relationship. Let me give you something today. If your relationship with your mother was not what you wanted, rewrite it in your own mind. The mind doesn't know what's real and what's not real. It knows what you think about the most. So you can recreate your relationship with your mother in your mind. And when you do that, you heal all of the stuff that you may have in your mind about your mom and how she maybe effed you up. No, she didn't F you up. Moms would never consciously do that. A mom would only do the best she could, and then maybe it wasn't what you might have guessed, but it was the best she could. Here's the other thing. You're alive right now, and you get to create your life. You have the power of thought. You have the power of belief in you. Do you think it's time you use it? Or you think you're going to... Here's the key thing. When you really understand what Mother's Day means, you've then embraced personal responsibility, that you are responsible for your life. No one else. Only you now control what you think. So, what are you going to create today in your mind? How are you going to view your mother? I would love for you to be in a state of gratitude. Nikki made a really beautiful point. She says her mom values cards, paper cards. Get many. Recognize her values. That's right. Here's something else. You can't please anyone but yourself. Do what you can. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. It's not your responsibility for how they take it. They're grown. It's their responsibility. With that, my beautiful ones, make it a great day. Because you can. And that's all you need to know. Until later, aloha. And happy Mother's Day.